I have just been listening to the news and stuff like that, and apparently they're trying to get the lyrics changed to a Christmas classic of Fairy Tale of New York. People are being offended by the word or the line of "you scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lousy faggot." I can understand that in theory, right? I can understand that completely. When the record was wrote and made in the 90s, I think it was the 90s, I can't honestly remember, to be fair, I am knocking on. The song goes of people, it's a sad song, to be fair, it's songs of people with dreams, and basically it's all going wrong for them. And it is around about two people arguing. And when people are arguing, they don't really care what they call each other. They're there to hurt each other with the words that they can say the best, without using violence. And people of nowadays, in 2018 and 2017, in fact, are getting offended by the word faggot. I just want to say that we've got to be careful of where we're going with these. Because the people who are offended nowadays will be the people who offend people in the future days. What happened were in the 80s, in the early to mid 80s, there was people like Ben Elton, Rick Mayall, Sir Rick Mayall, Kevin Turvey. Who can remember Kevin Turvey? Aid Edmondson, French and Saunders, and all those people that came out. And the stuff that Ari Enfield, Kathy Burke, those people now who changed comedy in the 80s are now, their stuff that they made is offensive to people. Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, everything they do now is, people are looking back and saying that was offensive, this is offensive. Harry Enfield dressed up with a burqa and he did the comedy sketch where you could only see the lady's eyes, and that was funny then days, but now it's offensive. So basically what I'm saying is, people who are offended now, you better wait your time, because in 10, 15, 20 years time, the stuff that you find funny will be offensive to people in then. But my point is, the Pogues and Kirsty MacColl, their record is in our DNA. The people of my age, it's in our DNA and our history. And you can't change that. You can try and change the lyrics of things, but you can't change our DNA. That is it for us. That is our history. And when that song comes out, you might want to change the lyrics on the radio. You might want to blank it out. You scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lousy, beep. Merry Christmas. I hope it's your ass. You might want to get that out. But when people sing at Christmas parties and whatever, and family get-togethers, and on the radio, they'll still be singing that. It's only offensive if you want to find it offensive. It's like Shakin' Stevens. I'm gonna get that girl underneath the mistletoe and kiss by candle. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna get her and force her and get her under the mistletoe? No, he's just being, I'm gonna get that girl that I want. It's just lyrics, it's just words, it's what happened. You can't change anything. People are so easily offended by stuff nowadays. They're looking for stuff to be actually offended by. It's like, as an extreme example, right? I'm going to take this to the extreme example. People are criticising the English or the British for the slave trade, right? Completely wrong. But back in the day, it happened. And yes, it was wrong, but it happened. It was part of what Great Britain, the many buildings in this country are built on the slave trade money, right? That Liverbird building in Liverpool is basically built on slave trade money. And it's wrong, right? I'm not disputing that. It was wrong, and it is wrong. But back in the day, it happened. And you can't change history, right? DNA, you can't change it. It's a bad part of DNA. But what winds me up over that is that the Norwegians, the Swedish, the Danes and all that, when they were Vikings and all them Vikings, right, They were all setting sail and invading countries and taking people to be slaves, right? The Vikings came over here. They just swept the bloody country. They just went straight through it, yeah? There was raping, there was pillaging, there was absolutely everything. And them guys didn't stop at nothing. They weren't bothered about one thing. If there were a nun there, they'd do terrible things to her. Have you seen The Lost Kingdom? Now, I know The Lost Kingdom's a book, but it's based on fact. But nobody ever says anything against the Norwegians or the Swedish or whatever, all those North Atlantic countries up there. Nobody ever says anything about them and how they treated the Brits and that, and all the other people who they invaded. So it's double standards by some, to be fair. But getting back to this, the Fairy Tale of New York, it's a song. It's a classic song. When Shane MacGowan wrote it all them years ago, he was probably drugged up, drunk, whatever. Even so, I would not have thought for a moment he would have caused any offence by what he wrote. And I'm sure when Shakin' Stevens did his bit, he never meant to have caused offence. But what the problem is at the moment is people are too busy looking to be offended. They're too busy. You've got students now who are offended by war. War, everybody's offended by war. War shouldn't be happening. But in the day, in World War I, in 1418, it had to be done. And if there was a war in 1914, 1918, I would have more than likely gone and fought for my country. But we're getting students now who are snowflakes, who are offended by a puppet, who are offended by a picture of a wall of men fighting for you to be offended. And it makes me sick. You people are offended by the Pogues Fairy Tale of New York will have your arses bitten in the future, because what you find funny now will offend people in the future. What you wish for at the moment, you better be careful, because it will come back and bite you on your saggy arse. The Pogues Fairy Tale of New York will live forever. The lyrics, you scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lousy faggot, will live forever. And that's the way it's going to be. There's other lyrics in there. You're a slut, you're a punk. What? Is that offensive to all women? You've got to take it as how it is. It's a Christmas song, a very, very sad Christmas song. If you actually look into the lyrics, it's two people's lives who have gone completely wrong. One's in bloody jail. They've lost everything. They have absolutely lost everything. And you're moaning because somebody says you're a scumbag, you maggot. You cheap, lousy faggot. I don't know, folks. The way of the world is turning, and it's, I don't know, people are so easily offended. No doubt somebody might be offended by this video that I have done of my opinion, and I might get abuse for it. But all I am saying is, be careful what you wish for. Because in the days of Rick Mayall and the young ones and Ben Elton and all them, they were trendsetters, right? They broke the ground. They got rid of people like Les Dawson, Jim Davison, and all the other ones, Bernard Manning, right? With all the mother-in-law and the sexist jokes and all that. They got rid of them. But now, even they are offensive to some. So, what you might find not offensive now will be found offensive in 10, 15, 20 years' time. Mark my words, what goes around comes around. And the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. Is that offensive, Christmas Day? That could be offensive to some people.